Okay, welcome back to Steel Dragon VW. Today on the 72 Beetle, we are changing the clutch cable. Clutch cable broke while I was driving the other day. Here is the frayed end of my clutch cable. To do this, you have to go inside the car, remove the pedal assembly, because where the pedal goes in to the channel is where the clutch cable hooks to. So we'll have to unhook that and be able to get that part of the clutch cable out. And then we feed the new one through that hole all the way down the housing to the back. We'll remove this plate too, because the hole that the clutch cable goes through is right underneath there, and it'll help feed it through. That way it doesn't get hung up. And then on the outside, of course, you remove the tire because it makes it easier. The clutch cable will come out right here and hook to the lever in the back. Should be a pretty easy process. Here's my new cable. This is a $15 part. You can get them as low as $10. They do not come with that wing nut, so you'll have to remove that wing nut from the old one and use it or get a new wing nut. So I'll start to remove the pedal assembly, and the only thing holding that in there is a 14mm bolt. So I'll do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, we got the pedal assembly out. As you can see, there's the hole, and the hole up there by the firewall is where the rod for the brakes goes in. If you never had your pedals out before and you're not sure what it looks like on the inside, that hook right there is what catches the cable. This is what the end of the cable looks like. So the hook goes onto the cable like that, and every time you pull your clutch, it pulls the lever in the back. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to put some multi-purpose grease, that's what this is, on the cable, just to lubricate it. Slide around in there, stops friction in the little tube that it slides through. I mentioned that tube earlier. There's one of these. I'm not sure which one it'll end up going through. Should. We'll see. So I will get some grease spread on this, and I'll be back. As you can see here, here's the new clutch cable that came through. On my car, I have a tube, looks like this, that hooks on to the transmission. I had to remove it because it was getting hung up at the entrance of the tube. So once I get the pedal assembly hooked back up to it, I'll pull this the rest of the way through, hook the tube back up, and then hook it to the transmission again. Alright. So here it is. I'm sure I mentioned before, I am not a professional. I am far from it, just a shade tree mechanic like everybody else that watches how-to videos on YouTube. So once you don't just shove the cable in a hole, in that hole. If you feel inside there, about the length of your middle finger, you'll feel a tube. It feels like it's about as round as my pinky finger, and that's where the end of the cable goes into in order to slide all the way through and come out where it needs to come out. So at this point, we hook the pedal assembly back up, which is here. If you notice on the pedal assembly, you have a rather large spring. That is what works the springing mechanism for your brake. There's a section right here, a hook that goes around here after you put the brake push rod back in the hole and slide it onto here, and then you put that spring back on. The back part of the spring hooks to the back of, or hooks to underneath this little plate. That's what holds your pedals up into so they put straight up. If you don't have this, or it's loose, you'll notice your pedals will start to fall forward. This is what holds them in place. Mine were falling a little too far forward, so I welded some nuts onto it so I'd have a little bit more space. Alright, as you can see, I got the pedal hooked back up. I put this on here to hold the clutch pedal up so that the cable inside the hole would stay on the hook. If you let this pedal slide down, it changes the angle that the hook is, and the cable will slide off of it. So you need something to hold it up. Only thing left is in here, is to hook the throttle cable back up. And I was wrong about the size of bolts that hold this on. These are 17mm bolts that hold the pedal assembly on. There's one in the front and one in the back. You have to pull this whatever that's called, the safety pin. You have to pull that off, because that's another thing that holds the brake rod in place. So you have to pull that off, unhook the spring, and then the pedal rod will come out. So back out here, all that is left to do is, I can't really see because it's starting to get dark outside. Right here is where that tube attached. So I have to fish the cable through the tube, attach the tube back to the transmission, and then back here is the rod. Right here is the lever for the clutch. So I put the clutch cable through there, put the wing nut on, and adjust it to where there's enough tension, so when I push the clutch, pedal in, it engages the clutch in the transmission, and we're good to go.